That's an ominous start. Hey everyone, my name's Evan. I'm the creative director here at the Grove Church. I'm here with Eli Angulo, who is the communications director at the Grove Church. And really what we want to do is just create a really quick video kind of outlining how we did the drive-in church. So we've been getting, probably like 40 churches have reached out so far. Yeah. So, and which is awesome, truly is amazing. And our hope with this whole thing is that is just to inspire churches to find a way to still be able to gather and have community, whether that be online or whether it be kind of with this drive-in church idea. But the idea behind this video is really just to kind of get a condensed version of how we did it, so we don't have to necessarily field all the calls, but we can kind of direct people towards this one idea. And then if you have more questions, as always, just feel free to reach out. So the most common question that we get is what did we use to get the radio signal?
What gear, and more specifically also what transmitter?
Yeah, so it's just an FM transmitter. You'll find them most often, like when you see videos of Christmas light displays that are synced to music, it's the same tech that's used for that. It's also the same tech that's used for actual drive-in theaters. So the one we bought, I don't have the model number off the top of my head, but I think you can probably pull it up.
I'm working on it right now.
There you go. But that one's rated for drive-in theaters. It's kind of a shorter signal, so it's not going very far, because obviously if you're shooting really far with your signal, you can get in trouble with the FCC. But there's just a bunch of, if you use Google on Amazon, I think the one that we used was the Cygnest is the...
Sorry, I'm scrolling through all of our messages.
To find it. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. And the way that it works is you just run an output from the board into that. So the output from our board was a female XLR. And then we ran it into, it's just kind of a regular headphone jack that goes into the transmitter. We bought that cable at our local music store. So they just it's a pretty common cable. But other than that, if you have a sound system that you're using now, it's pretty much just getting that sound system to plug into the transmitter, which is pretty easy to do. And then once you're there, you kind of you're rolling. The big things as far as
I have the transmitter.
You have the transmitter number. It's the SIGNSTEK. So SIGNSTEK. And it's the ST-05B. So that's the one we use.
I'll put a link on it below in our YouTube video.
If you can't find it, there's going to be a lot of them on Amazon that work, so don't worry about it. Just kind of look through the stats, the specs of the transmitter, and it should be fine. So once you get the sound system hooked up to it, you're going to want to scan through and just see what radio frequency is going to be the clearest for you. So the ways to do that would just be to look up online. You'll see a list of FM stations next to you, so you can see which ones are the broadcasting the strongest, which ones are the ones that you're not going to have to be competing with. And then honestly, the best way is just to sit in your car and just scan through your radio, write down the ones that are coming through really clear, because you're going to want to avoid competing with those stations even locally, because it can just kind of give you some interference, and you just want to find kind of a dead spot. So for us, it was 101.7. For everyone else, it's going to be something different. But
correction, we were 107.1.
107.1. Oh, there you go. But that was kind of where it was the easiest place to find. Moving forward from there, the big things are just have a couple hours set aside so that you can test it. You want to make sure you're driving to all the corners of your parking lot. If you're doing it that way, to make sure that the signal's coming in clear. One thing that we found was that we needed to drop the volume that we were sending out from the soundboard and boost up the gain out of the transmitter. It might be different for you guys, but just have a few hours set aside so you can really hone in the signal and get the way you want to be. The other thing that really was helpful for us is obviously with the whole coronavirus thing, there are still people who, for their safety, they're just not going to want to come, which is totally obviously understandable. And we still want those people, particularly the elderly or those people with underlying health conditions, to still feel like they're a part of the church. And so we did Facebook Live, all of our services as well. So this Sunday, that involved dragging 2 cameras up onto the roof, kind of putting them there with tripods. And what we use to broadcast out to Facebook Live is the Blackmagic Webcaster. And really what it does is it can take an SDI or an HDMI signal, which most cameras are going to have those outputs. You just plug it right in there. And then you're going to have a USB cable that comes out, and really your computer will just read it as a web camera. So once you get that little piece of tech, I would recommend getting the faceplate that goes with it as well. But once you get that piece of tech, you're just going to plug it into your computer. You go to your church's Facebook page. When you hit to go live, just make sure you scroll down and select that you're using a camera, but then it's just going to show up there as a live feed. Also, you're going to want to run the audio out of your soundboard into that device as well. So it just kind of syncs it up really well.
Yeah, and so a little bit to the Facebook Live, I want to speak because that's something that I did on Sunday. Is you also want to have someone monitoring the Facebook Live and making sure that the audio sounds good through the live. So what I did is actually we had our monitor set up, but then I also set up my laptop, my personal laptop, and I was sitting there and I was listening to it, making sure the sound sounded really good on Facebook Live, and also as well making sure that we could respond to comments because people would ask questions, people would. So you just want to be active on there as well, and so you want to make sure someone is sitting there monitoring the Facebook Live and making sure that they're keeping up with it and making sure that it's not getting cut off or that the signal's good and that the sound sounds really good too as well.
Yep. And as far as, I guess the next thing to move forward to technically, I think that's pretty much all the questions that we would have. It's not a super complicated operation. This isn't something where we had to invest, tens of thousands of dollars to get going. It's been really simple tech. A lot of churches will already have the infrastructure to pull this off. If you're a smaller church, you're going to still be able to get this pretty cheap as kind of a long-term solution, assuming everything kind of stays the same as what the rules currently are. And in Washington State, we're kind of the strictest right now. So as long as everything's kind of staying where we're at, this is kind of just a cool opportunity moving forward.
Yeah, of course. And so I want to ask you a couple questions that some people may have asked already, and just off the top of the head. First off is, what if you want to use 2 transmitters? So at some point to get a stronger signal, at some point we had 2 transmitters going, correct?
No. So we bought 2 transmitters basically just in case one didn't work. We wanted to make sure that we had one that was available. So the reason that you would have 2 transmitters is really just if your parking lot is huge and you have to put transmitters on both sides. But I would imagine for most people, that's not going to be a real issue. Our parking lot's actually really big. So we can fit, I think we averaged about like 80 cars per service on Sunday, and we were about half full. So we can cram in a lot of cars, but we were still driving around to every corner. And we were getting clear signals. So if it makes you feel better, the transmitters aren't that expensive. I think the most expensive ones are like 150. So if you wanted to get a couple, that's not a bad idea, just to make sure that you find one that's really going to work for you. But there's no need to really use 2 at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another question would be, is there any tips you can give right off the bat, off the top of your head? Like, what could we have done better on Sunday that we can then, help empower other churches to do well right off the bat?
Yeah, the main things, there's like the camera angles is one thing we want to fix for this week. So we're going to try and find a way to actually mount a camera that's in front of the stage. Because obviously, if our pastor was speaking, looking directly out, it's hard to get a camera in front of him because that's a drop off. So we're going to try and figure that out. But as clear as the camera angle as you can get. The biggest tip, honestly, is just have a few hours set aside to test through everything and make sure it's running smooth. But once you do, it really starts running great. And then I guess a few things moving beyond the tech side of it. And these aren't things I was directly involved with, but I kind of have an idea at least of what was going on. But I would say, make sure you're contacting your city inspector. If you are building something on the roof, we just called and made sure that we were doing everything up to code. And so there were certain regulations about how high the platform that we were building could be. We had to have railings around it, obviously. And then while we were up on the roof, we all had to be harnessed and strapped in. So, just simple things like that. Stay safe, obviously, because that's one thing you don't want. You don't want to be falling off a roof if you're doing it there. If you're a smaller church, maybe think about building just a platform that's literally on the ground, because you can probably get it high enough if you're not having as many cars coming in. So there's different ways around it that you don't just have to use the roof. One thing we ran into, actually, this is totally funny, but one thing we ran into is in Washington, we have a lot of tall trees. And so everyone was wearing kind of darker clothes, but not on purpose, but that's just kind of what it was. And so there's a few people who remarked that it was hard to see sometimes because it's, you have a black sweatshirt and then all of a sudden it's trees in the background. So the people who had skylight in the background, it was perfectly fine. So maybe wear some brighter colors if you got trees in your horizon. But obviously that doesn't apply to all parts of the country because not everyone has 100-foot tall evergreens everywhere.
So there's one other aspect I want to talk about, and that's the idea of worship. So we did worship up on stage. Right. We had them up there, and we also had people. We were broadcasting worship through the transmitter as well, correct? Mm-hmm. So there's something that I want to bring up, and that has been asked too, is how do we get people to sing along with us during worship? How do we get them the words?
Yeah, so the words, and this is actually Eli's baby that he kind of took and ran with, but we had special programs that we made on the back. We have a QR code that really just, you open up your phone, scan it, and then it takes you right to a PDF that we had already created online with the worship lyrics for that week. We thought about, originally the plan was just to kind of print all the lyrics onto the program, but it was just going to be too big. or
too wordy.
Yeah, too wordy. The text is gonna be too small, really, at the end of the day. So, Eli had that idea. It worked out really well. I guess you can speak into like how to make a QR code, but it didn't take too long.
No, yeah, the QR code's super simple. I honestly just went online and I typed in QR code maker, and I think there's one called QR generator that I use, and I signed up for. It's totally free. So what I ended up doing is I took. We use a special program for our worship lyrics, and so what I did was I went through, downloaded the songs that they were going to do. I edited the lyric sheet to just include the lyrics. And then what I actually ended up doing is creating a PDF out of all three of those. And so in the QR code generator, I just linked it to a PDF that I wanted to upload. I uploaded that PDF. And so that code specifically opened up that PDF. And so it actually worked for all Androids and for all iPhones. And so it was really cool being able to do that because one, it saved a lot of room on the handout and it wasn't wordy. And two, it was just super simple, and everyone has smartphones nowadays that it was like accessible to everybody for sure. Yeah. And so that's something that I do recommend to do if you want to do worship through the transmitter is, hey, get that QR code. Super simple. It's free. It's easy. And I mean, much to Evan's point is a lot of the stuff that we used to pull off drive-in church it's
not expensive, which is really great.
And it's so easy.
And the thing too, I'll say is just, as for the most part, keep it simple. So we pared down our services. Normally they're an hour. We pared them down to 35. Mm-hmm. For worship, it was our worship pastor, Jordan, with just him and his acoustic guitar. And then we had two singers on the side. So we didn't try and bring up a full band with the drum set and everything like that. Yeah. So, and so worship was about 10 minutes. Worship was about 20. And then we had about a 5-minute transition piece. We had people with bins so we can collect offering at the end, which is obviously a big concern for churches, is seeing a decline in giving right now. Cause obviously, it's a national health emergency, but we also have, we have bills to pay. We have people on staff who are relying on income. So just a way to keep that in front of people as well. It's just a good deal.
Yeah. And so one other thing too is we have a lot of kids and youth that attend our services on Sundays. So do you want to talk a little bit about what that looked like for them so they weren't, left out to dry?
Yeah. So we, obviously it's hard to get a kid to kind of sit down and pay attention to the message for a little bit. So we have we just called it Church Online, which is not a unique name at all, but basically on our website, if you go to grove.church, you can kind of see what we do. Just click on Church Online. We have content for all the kids. So there's a video lesson for preschool, elementary, and youth. We use the Orange curriculum, and so we got in contact with them because obviously with their license, you're not supposed to post any videos online. So they kind of during this time they kind of gave us permission as long as it's locked up. So what we do is we upload to Vimeo. We make sure the settings are set where you can't hit download, and then it's a unique URL, so you can't go to Vimeo and find the videos, but you have to be on our church website where it's embedded, and then basically once the next Sunday comes around, we just delete it. So obviously you want to respect whatever content creator you're using if you're using someone else's curriculum. But whether it's using pre-produced videos like we're doing and just uploading them so they're available to kids, or whether it's making your own content that is available to kids, what we do is we encourage parents to bring headphones, bring an iPad, or bring an iPhone. Well, not an iPhone, any phone. Yeah, a tablet, whatever you want to call it.
We like Apple here.
Yeah, something that can connect to the internet, so you can. And it was really cool because actually a bunch of people shared pictures of, them in the front of the car listening to the message, and then their kids in the back with their headphones, watching the preschool videos, singing along with the song. So it was just a really sweet. It was a really sweet thing to be able to help families worship together, and really that's the heart behind this whole thing. Is I guess we're probably wrapping up this video here pretty soon. We want to make sure that people still feel a sense of community, especially a sense of Christian community. There's a lot of fear going around. There's a lot of angst, and there was so many people that we talked with on Sunday who were just kind of overwhelmed with the emotion of just being able to meet together and just being able to still feel like, even in the midst of this crazy time where who knows how long this is going to be happening.
Foreseeable future.
Yeah. So, but still be able to feel even though their car windows are rolled up, still be able to look over and see people that they know. Yeah. Like you can wave, like it's super cheesy. You can like honk for amens or whatever it is.
Yeah,
it's just
awesome.
It's just one of those things to be able to bring some joy that I think just the Holy Spirit just brings joy when Christians gather together. Exactly. And that's really what we're trying to do with this. So
that's good preach. There is one thing I want to mention, lighthearted, that's so funny. We actually, for those of you guys wondering, we didn't do popcorn, but we did hand out like movie theater candy.
Yep.
As they came in, we're like, hey, here's a candy. And we also handed out kids bags that had candy and activities for them.
Everyone was wearing gloves, by the way.
Everyone was wearing gloves, and we had that whole social distancing on fleek. I just use the word fleek. But,
taking it seriously.
Yeah, but it was a little bit lighthearted, so we did have it like, hey, like let's make it fun. And much to much to Evan's point, it is one of those things that we just want to keep it lighthearted and fun and keep it simple. And that's the best advice that I think we can give. And I think that's it. I mean, unless you want to add anything else.
No, I think that's it. So hopefully this video helps. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can direct message the Facebook page. You can email info@grove.church. We're always available. We want to help as many churches as we can who are pursuing this idea. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you. Love you guys.